Hey everybody, I'm Sam Haymart and you're watching Growing Older Gay. This is Kitchen Table for Friday, February 21st, 2025. This is my weekly check-in with you, our audience, to let you know what's going on at my kitchen table, as well as what I'm hearing from the kitchen tables around my LGBT fishbowl. Now I say LGBT because LGBTQIA plus, it's so much more of a mouthful, man. It's not that I don't believe it or want to represent and do all of that. I get it. But at some point I just have to make it legible audibly out there. And it's a tongue twister. I'll get better. So there's so much going on out there in the world, and I don't want to dwell on all the negative, bad news. It's a lot. And so most of this episode is going to be about the good news going on out there and fun things that happen in my life and that I see happening out there in our world. And the first thing is last weekend was the Arizona Gay Rodeo was here in Phoenix. And it was my birthday weekend. My husband and I got a chance to go out and spend the day out there with our tribe. And we kind of fit into the cowboy scene a little bit. So we were right at home. So many of our friends were out there. And I got to tell you, it was just such a wonderful experience in this atmosphere of all this bad news and everything going on, to get out and be with the community, to be with thousands of people all in the same place that we could vibe with and really sort of identify with and feel a sense of community around us, that it's going to be okay. It was just food for the soul. I got to tell you, I highly recommend, if you have the opportunity somewhere in your hometown, or whether even if it's just going to a club, a dance, an event, whatever, find a way to get out of your house, stop doom scrolling, go to an event, be with your people. It's just so healthy for the soul. It really rejuvenated my spirit coming out of the weekend, having gotten a chance to go to this event. It was just a beautiful thing being among all the people that, for the most part, we share a common bond there. And watching the rodeo is pretty fun too. There's a lot of good cowboys and cowgirls in the gay rodeo scene. And the Phoenix Gay Rodeo is, in fact, one of the largest in the country. Been going on for a long time. It's not my first time there, but we just absolutely had a ball. And getting to see a lot of old friends we hadn't seen in a while it was so healthy for the soul. It was just a nice weekend. And as part of my birthday weekend, so a couple weeks ago, I did this video on the top 10 gay cars. Some of you may remember it. You can see it on our channel. I sort of went down the list of what are the top 10 gay cars for 2025. And it's because I'm an old auto journalist. I love cars. And so I just had to do something about cars on our channel here. Well, one of my favorite cars on there was the all-electric Volkswagen ID Buzz, the modern day microbus. I'm just gaying all over this car. And especially in this color combination, white and orange. And my husband, God bless him, he comes home with one yesterday. Yeah, he bought one in my favorite color. And here it is. Look at that. It's my favorite car, my dream car right now, right there in my favorite color. Isn't he a great husband? I mean, we can't afford the $70,000 one that's in real life. So this is as good as it gets. $150 is good enough for me. So I thought I wanted to share that because it just gave me joy. And I know that if we could afford a $70,000 electric minivan, he would have brought that one home because we need one, right? Yeah. So as I mentioned, a lot of bad news out there. So one of the things I've been doing this week especially, and I've been taking my own advice from our video series, Surviving Anti-LGBT Politics. One of the things I talk about is turn the news off for a couple of days once in a while. When it gets to be too much, don't worry, it'll still be there. There'll be bad news there later when you come back. It's not going to stop. So I took my own advice and I've been sort of looking for podcasts and other things to listen to besides just music. And I had heard about it for a while, but I just finally got a chance to start listening to and binge listening to the But Honestly podcast with Dr. Carlton and D'Angelo. Oh my God, these guys, they talk about butt safety, butt health, sexual health, gay love, gay fun. They talk about all kinds of stuff related to spiritual and mental and physical health around being out there, being a gay man, and being on the scene. And so it's fun. It is informative. It's an hour long, give or take. They have some great guests on the show. And so I have listened to a little over half of all of their episodes so far. And I'm going from current backwards. And they have some great guests. They talk about events going on around the country. In fact, if you're at the RGV Leather Weekend right now in McAllen, Texas, Dr. Carlton is there with you. He is there partying and having a good time for the weekend, but he is also doing a class there on butt safety, because gay men use their butt as part of their sexual adventures. And so there's some health issues. There's some things you got to be careful for. There's some things you got to do to protect yourself and enjoy yourself for good health in that way. And he is a gastroenterologist, a GI doctor. And so he is an expert on answering questions. And that's really one of the tenets of the show is people send in questions. People bring stories and they talk about their concerns and they answer those questions from a medical expert as well as D'Angelo, who's, just kind of an all-around gay guy who's done stuff. Lots of stuff. That's his tagline. But they're just so entertaining. And it's just been uplifting and educational to listen to those guys. And so I highly recommend you check out their podcast anywhere where you can find podcasts. There's link to their social down below in our information section. I highly recommend it. It just really lifted me up this week. And so if you have other podcasts that are like that you can recommend, put those in the comments down below, and note that we do approve all of our comments here just to make it a safe space for you and everybody else. And so if your comment doesn't show up right away, don't panic. But I'd love to hear from you about what other podcasts you might recommend in this wavelength. And one of the things I actually learned about is that the All Worlds Resort in Palm Springs, a place that I've been lots of times. Now, I had heard late last year that they had closed or gone out of business or something like that. And a lot of people out there went kind of, oh, well, because it has been one of the largest gay men's clothing optional resorts in the Palm Springs area. It's been there forever. And I've been there quite a few times, and it's kind of a neat place. But one of the downsides of it is it's kind of gotten run down and divey over the last few years. Whoever was in charge of it for a while, they weren't taking care of it. And it was just kind of getting run down, and, broken things weren't getting fixed, and it was just kind of eh. And so new owners have taken over. It is now called Casa Oliver. So they've rebranded it, and I hear tell that they are spending money on it. They're remodeling it. They're upgrading a lot of the things. They're fixing all the broken stuff, and they're making it nicer. And so they're really sort of reaching out to the community. And I've also heard that it's actually a straight couple that bought it, but it's every bit as gay, every bit as play, every bit as inclusive as it's ever been. The mission of the property hasn't changed. The name and the owners and the money they're putting into it has. So I want to go down there here pretty soon and do a little travel review for our channel here on Casa Oliver. I'm looking forward to that when the weather gets a little bit nicer. It's no fun walking out there in the maze when it's 40 degrees, honey. But they do point out that their indoor maze is heated. That's a good thing. So yeah, Casa Oliver, link down below in the information section if you want to check it out for yourself. Good news this week on the news front, and I like to share good news when I can find it. New Gallup poll just came out that says that now 9.3% of people that they surveyed openly identify as LGBTQ+. Yeah, can you believe it? 9.3% of all of the people they surveyed openly identify as somewhere on the LGBTQ+ spectrum. Now, that doesn't mean that that's all there is in society. It means that on an aggregate, these are the people willing to identify. And why that's a big number is because it's up 3 times from when they started back in 2012. It was right around 3% when they first did the same exact survey. And now 3 times larger. And there's a couple of interesting specs in there that I wanted to point out. More than 20% of Gen Z adults identify as LGBTQ+. Now, if you look at the chart, you can see that as we get older, some of the older generation not so willing to be open about it. But the younger generations are just increasingly more and more willing to be open and honest about who they are. They're more confident in who they are than we were back when I was growing up. And if you look at who's identifying as bisexual, this is a huge number. Nearly 60% of Gen Z and over half of the millennials identify as bisexual. And we all know what bisexual means. It means you're gay. It means that you're just not quite willing to go all the way there. And I'm not dissing on bisexual. I'm just saying that it's the door's open, right? And so when I hear bisexual, okay, you're gay. That's kind of how I feel of it. All men are gay until proven otherwise. That's how I walk through the world, honey. It just is. So, I think these numbers are huge. And the fact that this is what we're seeing in our news amidst the backdrop of all the other crap that's out there is heartening. It's heartening to see. One thing they mentioned here is the LGBTQ plus identification is higher among women, liberals, and urban residents. Well, duh. Why do you think that is? Because if you live out in the country among the red zone, you don't feel confident. Even if you feel what you feel inside and you know what you are inside, you can't. Society pushes you in. You can't, right? And so the people that are willing to identify, they live in the city. They're liberal. There's no surprise there. Now, I want to point out that there's a lot of information in this. There is a lot of stuff that I'm dying to talk about and dive into. So I think what we're going to do is do an entire video just on this survey and all the little parts and pieces and what's interesting about it to me, because I'm fascinated by statistics. So look for that in a couple weeks. But in the meantime, down below is a link to that Gallup poll if you want to dive into their press release and some of the graphs and charts. And if you're interested in that, until I can put a video, they tell you what I think about it. Check that out, because this is good news. And it's really I think it's just really about a confidence level with the new generations being willing to be out. It's not so much that there's more of us than there used to be. It's about there's more of us that are willing to come out and say it. Yeah, that's good, especially where we are right now. And since we are where we are right now, the last thing we'll talk about really quick is Shit Show 2025. It's been an awful week out there. I don't know all of the crap that's gone down. I've seen the headlines, and I've been listening to But Honestly. But honestly, it's been, The reason I bring it up is because we have a 10-part series, videos, called Surviving Anti-LGBT Politics, tips and tricks to help you get through all of this mess. And part 8 just dropped this week, and that is Walking Your Talk. How to be a better advocate for our community by standing tall and being who you are and being proud, and don't apologize. And so that video is now up, and you can see it on our 10-part series playlist right there. And you can also subscribe to our YouTube channel right there. Either way, I really want you to stay tuned. We need the new subscribers for a brand new channel. And until next time, well, have a good week.